Yeah, absolutely. I think for me it was really interesting because actually I didn't have imposter syndrome going back to work with my two children. That's when most people get it. That's when you start to feel like you're not good enough. Why am I here? I don't feel justified to be here. Other people are doing this better. Other people are able to commit more. There's other people within the organisation that can work those late nights. They don't just clock out at 5 or whatever because they've got to pick up a child. I didn't have any of that because actually I was I'm not saying probably, but I was the person that would be there at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. I would come home, I would work. I've done contracts and tenders sitting beside a swimming pool, taking children swimming and sitting there with my laptop where other parents would talk to each other and gossip about whatever they were gossiping about. And I'm the person kind of sitting huddled in a corner doing work or on my phone, or taking a call. I didn't ever take a call during a school play, but I was tempted to take calls during school plays. But where I found totally, feeling that imposter syndrome and the worries around that, when my youngest child, who is now 9, was coming up just under 5 years old, my relationship broke down with their dad. So I was married, and it was a bit of a change overnight because all of a sudden I didn't have somebody else within the household to pick up, that childcare responsibility. Things got very, very formal, tried to formalise things for the children, so that they knew when they had us, when we had them, and so on. But I just didn't have that availability of kind of childcare there and then. So that ability to suddenly work till 10 o'clock at night. And I think, emotionally, I wasn't in a wonderful place at all. So, working those hours and running myself down was an even worse idea. So all of a sudden, I'd gone from somebody that could work, if I wanted to, 12, 14-hour days, absolutely always be on it, be there at weekends, be there in the evenings, be working until whatever time at night. And suddenly I had two children that were experiencing a relationship breakdown and a divorce alongside me. There was, a massive change in financial circumstances within the household that they were kind of coming to terms with as well. And I didn't have the ability to work those hours. So I remember going in and just, there were things happening. There's always things when you work in the non-profit sector, normal working hours don't exist. If someone needs to speak to you at such and such time, you do it. If a funder calls you and says, can you come to this, you go to that. There's always fundraising events or whatever, and all of those things that everyone works their normal hours, and then they volunteer on top of that. So there's that kind of expectation that happens for so long, and all of a sudden I couldn't do that. And that made me really reflect. I remember sitting down with my deputy, and there were, up until then, there was very few times I kind of ever showed emotion within the office. And I sat down and just cried, and I said, I can't do this. I feel so bad. I feel so bad that I'm letting you all down. I'm giving you more work, having to spread it between you. And I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it to the girls. And if I'm honest, it's probably one of the times that I really prioritised the children, and I hadn't done that as much as I should have done previously. And she was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant because, she just totally reassured me and said, you've done it. You've done your time, really. And we're in a really great place. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. And if you need me to pick up, my children are now older. And when I joined this organisation, my children were younger and you were really flexible with me. And now my children are older and they're, not at home, off to university, so on. I'll pick up the stuff that you feel you can't do. So she was absolutely wonderful, and it was just what was needed. But after that, I felt really guilty. And that guilt feeling really affects your confidence. It affected me in terms of reporting to our board. It affected me in terms of speaking to other chief executives, and I continually, feel guilty, that ongoing guilt that, they say, oh, should we book a meeting at 5 o'clock? And I go, oh, can we make it 3? Or can we make it this, or can we make it this? And then there's that continual worry that you need to just forget your children almost and just concentrate on work as much as you can, but you can't. And so it makes you feel like you're just not good enough.